Callum, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad at all.
Good, good.
So, the last time we spoke to you, it was all about Oakwell. It had just been announced. Has it sunk in yet that you're going back there for a big European title fight?
Yes, mate, it has. Like I said, I was aware that Oakwell, the stadium had been, the date had been confirmed for quite a while, to be honest. I think it was just after, no, just before I fought Steed Woodall. I was actually told that 7th of June, Oakwell, it's been done, it's been booked. Just make sure that I don't lose when I fight, when I fight Steed. And I just said, listen, don't worry, it's all right, it's all right. And then yeah, so obviously I knew that I had to beat Steed to make sure that fight were happening. And then again, when I fought Elvis as well, I had to make sure that I beat Elvis. Otherwise, it were all going to come crashing down. But yes, I've been aware of the date for quite a while. Yeah, so it's sunk in, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And how hard is that? Because a lot of the time I'll speak to fighters and I'll say to them, like, who are you looking at fighting after this fight? Things like that. And they always say the same thing. I don't want to look too far ahead. But you were sort of forced to look quite far ahead. For your last two fights, you've known this was coming. How hard was it to put that to the back of your mind when you were fighting Steed and Elvis?
Not hard at all, to be honest, mate. It's not the first time. Again, when I fought Zach Chelly last year at Oakwell, before I was made aware, when I fought, it was Mbappe, I think it was. When I fought him at O2 Arena, I was told uh, that we're doing Chelly at Oakwell in summer, in August, but you've got to beat Mbappe this weekend. So again, I've gone into many fights knowing that I need to win this fight for a big fight in the future. And it's not. I wouldn't say. I would say that I'm happy to say that I look past fighters, but I don't overlook them. If that makes sense. Like obviously, I know my career, and that I do a lot. Even I've got a big fight in Zuko. I'm looking past. I want to, I know what I want in the future. I know what I'm aiming for, but that doesn't mean that I'm overlooking Zuko as a fighter. I know it's going to be a very hard fight, a very tough fight, but for me, I go into a lot of fights. Well, every fight that I go into, I'm fully focused, no matter what's in the future. Like again, I think I'm one of that. I think that boxer and a manager, they know they can tell me future plans because I'm not that kind of fighter. That's I think I'm quite mentally tough, and I think I've shown that on multiple occasions. And I think I'm the kind of fighter that can tell future plans to they can, and I'm not going to get too excited. I'm not going to run away with it and let it get to my head. I think I'm quite grounded and quite focused as well. So I think they can tell me stuff like this, and it's not going to affect my performance.
And every fighter's different when they start out their journey. Everyone comes to boxing different ways. But I wonder when you first walked into a boxing gym, did you ever think you'd be fighting at Oakwell? Obviously, you've been there and won against Zach Chelly, got the chance to do it again. Was that always like a dream, or is that something that came up on the horizon as you got better and better?
No, that's like everyone says. Well, I can't even say it's a dream come true because it's more than a dream. Like I never would have ever imagined fighting at Barnsley Football Stadium at Oakwell, and it would have never even. It's never even come into my head. I didn't even think it was not because I didn't want to, but not I didn't even think it would be a possibility. And then I can remember I was at Vitality Stadium watching Chris Bill and Smith against Lawrence Okoli, and Baz was one of the main guys at Boxer. He nudged me and he went, "This could be you next year." And I laughed it off. I went, "Yeah, yeah." And he went, "No, this will be you at Barnsley next year." And the look that he gave me, I was like, "He's being serious here." And I thought, "Yeah, why not? Yeah, of course we can." And then since then, that kind of planted the seed. And then yeah, just again, I never thought we'd be fighting there in the first place for the British and Commonwealth. So to go there again, less than 10 months later, is unreal. It's crazy. Yeah.
You're a Barnsley man through and through. Everyone knows that about you. So I'm actually going to give you a bit of a tougher test here. Taking Oakwell out of the equation, taking the Metrodome out of the equation as well. So nowhere in Barnsley for this
Yep.
question. What is the best atmosphere you've boxed in outside of Barnsley?
It would have to be. mm, Pro. You know what? Every venue that I've fought at, every especially since signing with with Sky, I've always brought a good crowd and a big crowd. They've always come to me whether I'm in London, Manchester, whatever arena I fought. I've always brought a decent few hundred. They've always made noise. But I'd have to say probably when I fought for the area title at Oldham Leisure Centre, that was a big fight. You know, my 10th fight, my first title fight, my first 10 rounder championship fight. That atmosphere were very good, very loud, so it's quite small as well. York Hall, that was an amazing atmosphere. They didn't stop chanting and singing all night. So yeah, I'd have to say either York Hall or Oldham Leisure Centre, one of the two.
Yeah, there's something special about small hall boxing, isn't there? That I don't think
Yeah,
any other country in the world quite has like we do. Like these little venues like York Hall, it's legendary. The fans are on top of you. Like, what's
yeah,
it like to be in like that cauldron of noise? Because I've found places like that can be louder than an arena.
yeah. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. You know, the more like again, I'm someone that performs very well. Well, it doesn't really, when it's like a high pressure situation, it doesn't really feel like pressure to me, but I like performing in front. I like a crowd to be there. I like people to be there. When I go to other gyms to spar, when there's other people in the gym watching, I love kind of showing what I can do. And again, with York Hall, it's almost like the supporters, the fans that are like they're on like literally like they said they're on top of you. They literally are just sat like 2 meters away, straight above you. And I think we did about 300 tickets for that fight, and you know, all the Barnsley, so loads of Barnsley supporters, like Callum supporters, were all like on the balconies, like shouting over from all angles, and it was unreal. But again, that kind of that does spur me on. They know the crowds getting behind me, and you know, they made a long journey to come and get behind me and support me. Yeah, and again, they weren't quiet one bit, and that was an important fight for me as well. That we went into that fight wanting to, but the main challenge was to try and stay focused for the full. Again, that was another title fight, my first international title. That fight was about staying focused, trying to keep the range, and having all that noise. It added an extra challenge for me, and another box that I managed to take. Again, performing under all that noise, all that crowd, being able to stay focused and switched on for the full 10 rounds, and keeping my range, and yeah, and keeping focused as well.
And I hope you don't mind me saying, I find you one of the nicest guys in boxing. You're always very level-headed, very kind. Like you talk very well, very measured. But I feel like one person that maybe I might be wrong does get under your skin a little bit might be a certain Ben Whittaker. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about why that is. Is it just professional rivalry and wanting to fight him? Is there something a little bit more there between you and Ben?
Yeah, I wouldn't say Ben gets under my skin at all. I don't think I've been brought up in a household where you know, well, I've been brought up with, with 7 brothers and sisters. My dad's a wind up. My older brother's 15 months older than me. So yes, growing up with them, there's no one that can wind me up or get under my skin after I'm going through them a lot. But yeah, I think with Ben is just at first it was just kind of a professional rivalry, you know, trying to build a fight. But the more that I've got to know him, I just yeah, just his character, just what he's about. I just yeah, just comes across as very arrogant, and well, he is arrogant, very disrespectful as well. And again, it's more, and I just think it's quite fake as well, to be honest, mate.
It's one of them, and we've just had a rivalry obviously play out. Eubank and Ben, that was obviously a huge sensation in this country, and I feel like there is similarities you could draw, maybe even more so between the initial Eubank Ben fights with the dads. In that, I feel like you and Ben Whitaker are very opposite characters, but that could make for something that could be huge in boxing terms. So, is that something that you feel is in your future? Like you said, you're someone that you don't overlook people, but you do look to your future. You care about your future. Is Ben Whitaker someone that's right near the top of your list of people you're targeting?
Yeah, definitely. That's since I first signed with Boxer. That's a fight that I've told them that I want straight away. My management are aware, my trainers are aware. Like we've all been saying, I'll have that. I'll take that fight tomorrow. I'll take it next. Like even though I'm a super middleweight, you know, everyone knows I'm very big at the weight, and and I know for a fact I'll be finishing my career at light heavy. I can move up at any time, but I make the weight well. But yeah, that's a fight that I've been calling for a while, and it's a fight that I want even more now. Again, it was more of a professional rivalry, professionally trying to call it out, but now I just don't like him, and I'd yeah, be more enticed to give him a good pasting.
How do you think it goes if you two do face off? How are you finishing that fight?
I think I'll stop him late. I think I'll stop him late. I think my style is everything that he doesn't like, he doesn't want.
Bringing it back,
I think I'd be too much. I think I'd be too much for him, and I think he showed he hasn't got heart in the first Liam Cameron fight, and I think the second one, obviously he did well getting a stoppage, but for me it didn't really answer any questions in terms of his heart, because he only went with two rounds, was it? He only went 2 rounds.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, who knows if he can dig deep? I don't believe he can. I think he had a chance to show it in the first fight, and yeah, bottled it.
And bringing it back down to the super middleweight division for a moment, obviously the man at the very top of that division, Canelo Alvarez, fought at the weekend.
Yeah.
Not a fight that many think fondly of. I just wanted to ask, have you watched the fight that he had with William Scott, and what did you reckon?
I've not watched the fight. No, I've not watched the fight. I actually don't really watch much boxing, to be honest, mate, other than the boxer shows. And I'm a proper like armchair casual fan, me, honestly. But yes, I didn't actually watch the fight. But yeah, I've heard it was very boring and yeah, not very enjoyable to watch. So yeah, I've not watched the fight. But for me, I genuinely believe that's a potential fight for me in the future. I remember 2 years ago, I did an interview with Sky, and I said, "Oh yeah, we'll fight Canelo at Oakwell," and loads of comments were laughing, saying, "Oh, you never fight at Oakwell, never mind fight Canelo. Like that's just like, oh, stop being silly. You're never even going to fight at Oakwell." And then 12 months later, we were fighting at Oakwell. We're going back again for a European title, dual capacity. So who knows? Next year, I might get Canelo there. But for me, that's the trajectory that I'm on. I'm ranked top 10 with 4 governing bodies in the world. Sorry, 4 other governing bodies. And when I beat Zuko, I'll be ranked even higher. And yeah, so for me, it's just a case of keep winning, and then end of next year, no doubt I'll be ready. I'll be there, mandatory for a world title shot.
And you said there, right on the cusp of world titles, and another Yorkshireman, Sheffield's Dalton Smith, is on the
Yeah,
cusp of his own world title shot, and he's gone about it in a very similar way to the way you're going about it. Get the British, get the Commonwealth, get the European. You're obviously going for the European against Socko this
yeah.
time. How important is it for you to do it in that traditional way? Because guys can go out and get there's the international belts and the ranking belts, and you've held some of those as well. But how important is it to rack up the traditional three, if you like?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's again, I think that Dalton, just like Dalton, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do the same as him. I feel like me and Dalton have both come up based on merit, not based on picking and choosing fights. I won the area in my 10th fight. Then I've won 2 international belts as well, but also the British Commonwealth, defending the British, defending the Commonwealth, pushing on for the European now. Like I said, me and him have both come up on merit based on performances, fighting mandatories, and yeah, I feel like we both deserve what we've got. Whereas a lot of people will try and play the game, they'll try and maneuver certain things. But for me as well, and I know Dalton will think the same. It's boxing's about levels. Like I say, you'll see a lot of people. They'll fight on small. Well, they'll fight for not nobody, but they'll fight a lesser level opponent, get an international belt, good ranking, and then try and skip all these levels to the top, and they'll come unstuck or they'll vacate titles straight away without no defenses. Whereas I've always said from day one, before I fought for an area title, when I win I want to put in for the area, knowing that when I win it, I'll defend it against anybody. And then when we went for the British title, we wanted to make sure I was ready to defend it against anyone in Britain. Same with the Commonwealth. And when we push on for the European title now, we're doing it because we know that I'm ready for European level, not because I will win European vacate straight away or win British vacate straight away. Again, it's about everything's about levels, and I think every fight, especially my last 7 with Boxer, we've stepped it up every time. This a level every time. And that's what we're continuously doing. Obviously, we don't want to jump up, and we also don't want to take a step back as well, which is just as important.
Depending on how it goes at Oakwell against Zuko, what are you looking at as the next part of that plan? Because it sounds like a plan that you've almost always already got written down, or if not written down, you've mapped it out in your head. You said end of next year you're looking towards world titles. So what do you think comes in between that? Like, is there an amount of fights you want to have, a sort of fighter you want to face?
In a perfect scenario for me, I'll be fighting for a world title within 6 fights. I want to win the European in June. Hopefully defend it by the end of this year. Defend it at the end of this year, and then possible defense early next year, and then a world title eliminator, final eliminator, and then push on, be ready for a world. And like I said, it doesn't. I'm not sure who those opponents would be or what style fighter it would be. But again, now Zuko, we're fighting Zuko. Is my first southpaw that I fought. European level, first undefeated fighter, a big puncher as well. So again, this is another step up in levels against my first southpaw before we get to a world level southpaw. And again, like the Mexican before, it was a maybe you could say it might have been British level, like fighter, coming forward, hands up, coming forward, putting a lot of pressure on myself, and me having to go on the back foot. We fought people that are on the back foot, and me putting the pressure on. We're trying to fight every style we can possible, so that I'm ready for when I get to world level. We don't want to get to world level now, and let's say if I got offered a world title for next week, there's no point because I wouldn't be ready to defend it against anyone at world level. Whereas this time next year, I will be ready and I'll be staying there as well.
And you mentioned obviously we know that physically light heavyweight wouldn't be a push for you, but is it 168 for the world title ideally that you're targeting?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Firstly, be 168, then I'll be 175 after. But yeah, 168 world title definitely.
And pivoting slightly now to another job that I've seen you take on in boxing on a few occasions. I've seen you obviously work in the corner for some of your gym mates, and I wonder, as a high level fighter yourself, what's more difficult? Is it the fighting where you are in control of what happens, or is it working the corner where you can advise, you can help, but ultimately it's up to someone else?
Yeah, I think it's it's more it's difficult when you're in the corner because like it's like just like you just said there, when you're fighting, you're in control. Whatever I want to do, I've got the ability to do it. Whereas when you're in the corner, you can shout as much as you want, you can give the best advice you can, but you can't do it for him. You can't do it for him. You can't make him do certain things, and they're kind of left to their own devices. So I think being in the corner is difficult in that sense. Whereas obviously when you're in the ring fighting, it's obviously difficult from a more physical perspective. But yeah, I think when you're in the ring, you can do it. You're in control. You can choose what you're gonna do. But yeah, I love being in the corner. I've cornered Corey O'Regan recently, Yasmina on multiple times when she won the European last as well. Another gym mate, Sylvia. Jimmy First, another gym mate, and I've cornered quite a few journeymen as well. We've got a couple of journeymen at the gym, so I've been on the road plenty of times, and yeah, I think it's good experience for me. Working the corner, seeing what different referees are like as well, and more experience and stuff like that. I really enjoy it in that sense, and then also just being there to support my gym mates as well. Being there to support my gym mates, being there to put a bit of ice on the back and catch a bit of spit in bucket, and yeah, just being there for support, moral support, and helping them as well. So I think it's really important for me to do that.
And you can tell when you talk about it that it is something that you love to do, to be involved with all these other fighters, and like you get incredible moments out of that as well.
Yeah.
For like the Jasmina winning the title, I think a lot of people had written her off going in. Obviously, Chloe's a great fighter in her own right. How much did that mean?
Oh, it meant a lot. It meant a lot. Obviously to myself, to Yaz, to the team, to Mark Dickey's gym. I think over the years, you see how much fighters sacrifice, how dedicated they are, how hard they train, and I've watched so many rounds of Yaz fight sparring Corey as well. So I knew how tough that fight was, but I also knew how much Yaz had come on since then, as well. So because I know Corey really well, she's a great fighter. Ricky Hatton used to come to the gym. Blaine used to come to the gym, get along with him as well. Yeah, so I knew it was a very tough fight, but a winnable fight as well, and I think she did absolutely amazing. So to be able to share that moment with with Mark and Stevie in corner and Yaz, it was a great night, yeah, great night, and especially because you were the underdog as well. That's the thing. It was I think yeah, it was a boxer show. Um, but yeah, and so it was nice to be on the other side. It was different being on the other side for once. I did a corner when she fought Shannon Ryan. She lost against Shannon Ryan, but I was there when she beat Maisie Rose in a corner again. And then yeah, she got the win against Chloe, which were a great performance.
And you mentioned there, obviously, Ricky Hatton in the opposite corner, legendary fighter, now a trainer.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would look at as a transition one day? As someone who's obviously worked a lot of corners, worked in the gym with different fighters, would you want to train, do you think?
I thought about that a few times, and I don't know. I'd like to. I'd like to help boxers. I think I'd like to help people who in the positions that I've been. Whether that's as a trainer, whether it's as a manager, as an advisor. So yeah, in some capacity, I like to help people. So yeah, but what capacity that would be in boxing, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I can't see myself being a full-time trainer. I know how hard it is. It's like it probably takes up more time than being a boxer, to be honest. My coach Mark is I've got to worry about getting myself to the gym and training and going sparring, whereas he's got to get me sparring, get me in the gym, take me to the track. Then he's got Sylvia, then he's got Yaz, then he's got Corey, then he had Jimmy. So he's got other travelling to do as well. Where so yeah, so it is very very time consuming for trainers as well, which I think a lot of people don't realise. And then you've got your shows, you've got your staying over and stuff like that, and it's got journeyman as well. So very very taxing. And I think that once I've done boxing, I might want to relax a little bit and not be as busy and chill out a little bit. Yeah,
And just finally, I wanted to ask it is another comparison with that man, Ricky Hatton. Obviously, both massive followings, both fighters that have defined their city. And I wanted to ask you just finally, could you see yourself following in Ricky's footsteps? Are we going to see Barnsley taking over Las Vegas one day?
100%, mate, 100%. Whenever I'm walking through town centre, everyone's asking me when are we. Well, first it was when we're doing Oakwell. We've done Oakwell. When we're doing it again, we're doing it again. And then everyone's asking me when are we going to Vegas? When are we going to sit? We're going to Vegas. So yeah, everyone's getting saved up. Everyone's putting the money away. So hopefully we can see Barnsley, South Yorkshire taking over Las Vegas. Yeah, definitely,
That's one to look forward to, definitely. Callum
definitely,
Simpson,
mate.
thanks ever so much for speaking with me, and best of luck at Oakwell.
Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Take care.